Rising, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Curtain with Eddie and Ron. Today we have Bianca Ruehlig. Bianca, how are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for agreeing to come on. Where are you?
I'm in California. I'm in the East Bay area.
Oh, cool.
Because originally I wasn't sure where you were living.
Yeah, no, it's 6 a.m. here, nice and dark still. But you know what? I was actually born and raised in the Philippines. So 16 years. So I speak fluent Tagalog. And yeah, but I've been in California ever since. I actually have not really left California that much, but there's a lot of things here that's, you know, all the things that we're about to talk about. There's a lot of things everywhere. These things exist. So very excited to share.
In the beginning, I want you to come on to speak about Cyatones, but as I've been following your work on the vast scope of your research, there are so many avenues that you go down. And like you said, it's down the rabbit hole and see where we go. So could you please just start in regards to the idea at the beginning was Cyatones. What are they?
Well, Cyatones is a digital version of sounds that are emitted from a machine that's no longer made. So there is an actual physical machine. It's a vibrational machine that plays 5 resonant frequencies. What that means is it's targeting 5 parts of the body or 5 tones to harmonize a specific part of the body. And those 5 tones are representing the platonic solids because we are made of these different elements. So you're applying a sound, 5 different elements, making a really direct effect to either the cell, the organ, the process. It could even be an ailment. And in about 8 to 10 minutes, your cells are replicating. They're copying and pasting. So when you create a copy and paste, your cells are vibrating to this new sound. And when it copies and pastes, it's now creating a new version. That other version is overwritten. It just doesn't exist anymore because water is going to vibrate. It's going to resonate to what its surrounding sound. Our cells, literally, that's their job, is to resonate. And so it's very important, you know, the things that you're listening to, the lyrics, the things that you're speaking in your head, everything causes a vibration. But I was able to get my hands on a machine that, I mean, it's amazing technology. And it's, you know, it's ancient technology. And they started this with drums, drumming circles, singing bowls, chimes and bells, our own voice, chanting. We've forgotten to do these vibrations ourselves. So I happen to have this amazing machine. It's called a Cyma 1000. And I've been doing this for about 5 years in my wellness center. I've got a shop here in the Bay Area called Crystal Bowl. And about 3 years ago, I started offering it a little bit, you know, online here and there, but I've really been getting a huge impact. I've just been doing it like on Facebook, my Facebook group. So recently I've made this because I've been on TikTok just very recently, about 7 months. And that platform has really allowed me to grow what Cyatones is now, because there's a lot of people that are affected directly and immediately and from all over the world. So when I started sharing it on my live streams, I realized that I really needed to put more effort and more energy into this because it's something that I can effectively affect, you know, people right away. And then they're able to do what they need to do. Because my belief is that we're supposed to be healed already. There's no healing that needs to be done. But because of, you know, whatever the factors are, environment, our food, our thoughts, our movies, whatever those are, it's caused this outcome. So my goal, my purpose is to share with people how they can do it, how I've done it, because I've done it. You've got to be able to do it yourself and share with people how it was done. And then they need to actually practice. Practice has the word act in it. So you've got to actually do it. You've got to get up in the morning. Are you saying your affirmations? Are you spending 5 minutes and doing your meditation? So it's about sharing how I was able to accomplish it. And this was over 10 years ago that I was able to get through, you know, all my little ailments, and which are all completely gone. And I know that everyone can do it because I didn't do anything special. You know, I came from corporate. I did the usual normal things, but got to a point where I had to make a change. And I'm still doing that. I'm still making these, I have to make a change moments, these milestones. Very recently, 4 months ago, I stopped drinking, and I've been drinking for, 20 years. So, and it was just, you know what, I'm done drinking, and that was it. So it's really about getting to the point where you've got to decide, is this what I want to do? Your heart must be in it. But the third piece is, are you doing it? Your gut, your energy, your lower energy centers, are you actually doing it? Are you just speaking it? Speaking, they say talk is cheap because your thoughts are empty. All these things you think about and talk about, they don't really mean anything until you put the energy into it. The energy comes from your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar chakra. Those ones create the energy so you can build the things that your spirit up here is hoping and wishing and dreaming and speaking of. Your heart, you don't actually have to do anything. It just is always full when you align these two. So Cyatones it's about body parts. It's about ailments. It's about emotions. It has frequencies for hope. It has frequencies for diabetes. It has, it's just such a wide range. And this was documented a long time ago by Dr. Raymond Royal Rife. So most people know about Rife frequencies and meditations on YouTube. You've got Rife frequencies, binaural beats. It's very similar to that. Binaural is 2 beats. You have one tone here and one tone. The central tone, it causes a vibration directly into your spinal fluid. And that's why it resonates all throughout. So you've got to have headphones. The Cyatones is five tones, and they are a combination that's been studied by the other doctors, right? The people with the machines and testing and the doctorates and all that, they did all the work. I happen to have a machine and this drive and this ability to be able to do it. And I've had a lot of support from mainly TikTok, actually. And then I've expanded back to Facebook, which is my original audience. But it's really just about sharing this technology that we really have inside of us. It's a machine that is mimicking a technology that's our vocal cords. But once people start thinking and believing that they can heal, you don't even need the machine. You don't need, it's really about changing your vibrational belief. Your structure is actually already, innate. And these tunes, these tones, they help people, just like sound or aromas will help, or the sun will help. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. And Cyatones is one of them. And there's a few ways you can access it. There's an app, there's a drive that you can subscribe to on Google. I live stream daily. And I also have a podcast where I'm creating special sets where, for example, I've got all the different ingredients, right? I've got the tone for the pancreas, the tone for vital life force, the tone for cell regeneration. But there's a protocol, a recipe in which you can listen to them so that they are really alleviating or, eradicating whatever it is your intention is.
So what you had said that we, if I understand it correctly, we're already healed, and it's really the environment that we're living in that causes, maybe disrupts some of our vibrational health, for lack of a better word. Can you talk about what affects us vibrationally? Like what would give someone low vibration, or I'm not really familiar with the terminology, but I think you get the question.
That's no, and that's totally fine. And just the word you mentioned, environment, it makes us think that it's the outside, right? The environment. It's actually the environment that's your vibration. So everything that you see, imagine a computer. You're a computer processor. This is your processor. Outside is a 3D monitor of everything that you're processing. And your keyboard and your mouse, that's your senses. So all this input, you're putting it into your computer. Now, you're not seeing everything because just because you code it in doesn't mean you're running the program, but it's coded in. So you can compare your vibration to the program that you're running. So, and there's multiple programs running at all time, right? If you look at the task manager, I go back to Windows 98, Windows 95, you Control Delete, there's like 20, maybe 100 tasks. but you don't know of all of them, but they're all running. But I'm focused on maybe minesweeper.exe or whatever. So what is your vibration? What are you focused on? And that also is similar with, like, I guess, crystals. When someone talks about crystals and their vibration. So a crystal, think of it as something that's all like a Wi-Fi. It's always emitting. And you are the computer, right? So there's all these Wi-Fis all around us. It's not just crystals. It could be my cup of coffee is always emitting something. Everything is vibration. Everything is an energy that exists in this universe, which is a uni, which is a single verse is a song. So the whole thing is a harmonic. It's an orchestra. And we're just one of the notes and the tones that's kind of floating along with all the other notes and tones. Now we resonate, we flow with the tones that's around us. So when you talk about vibration, I guess it's that wave. What wave are you aligning with? Are you at a low vibration, the wave of feeling sad or angry, or maybe when I say low vibration, things that make you feel heavy, certain foods can make you feel heavy. Certain movies, I could scroll through someone's timeline and I could feel heavy. So whatever brings your energy low to you is that low vibration. We're all at different baselines. Some people are really happy to, go outside and look at the tree, and that raises their vibration. That means they are filled with happiness, hope, joy, faith, stuff that makes them feel good. So I guess good vibes is things that make you feel good. And the environment, your drinks, your food, your air, your water, that all affects your vibration. But what affects you even more so is your environment. Because your environment is directly vibrating your cells. Your self is a representation of your cells, like every single cell. And so it's reflected in our body, right? So if your cells do not feel good, your self does not feel good. It's a company, it's a corporation of everything. And so when you talk about, lower vibration, it's things that, I think innately we all know what is good and not good. So I remember when I was growing up, we had cartoons always, and I don't see them now. We would have a little angel and a little devil here. And the character would go, hey, what should I do? Do this, or no, do this. We don't have that anymore, but there is that choice. And people need to realize we know which one's good. We know what food's better. We know what words we should say, what things we should do. And it's just a matter of choice at all time. And we are literally traveling through multiple dimensions at all the time. It's not even split second. It's like right now, when we started the show, we were at a different timeline, because at every moment, every word you speak is rerouting the vibration around you. It's totally changing. Maybe your train of thought, maybe you're going to ask another question instead of this one. So it's just everything, really, everything affects everything else. And that's the vibration. So it's the energy, it's the communication or the relationship.
Yeah. I really like how you explain that. And I'm wondering if, is it universal, the things like, can something that causes someone to have a low vibration, maybe with someone else, it doesn't do that at all? So is it personal to kind of like your history, your ancestry, or, things of that nature? Because like one of the things is some people might have, carry around shame and guilt, which I assume are very low vibrational things. And what might trigger that is whatever, sex, or, for certain people, it may trigger that feeling. But for someone else, those circumstances, the external circumstance doesn't trigger that. So is it universal, or is it personal? If that makes sense.
It does. And we all are different baselines. So one good example is when I listen to a sound, someone else listening to the same exact sound sitting right beside me is going to hear it different. They're going to experience it different because they're a different version. They're slightly different. They may be very different. They may be slightly different, but every single one of us is at a different baseline. And so, although the experiences, I believe, are going to either raise your vibration or lower your vibration, it depends on where you are. It's back to what's called duality. So my version of cold is way different from everybody else's version of cold. I get cold really quick. So, and it's just my temperature is, off, it's different, but that doesn't mean that it's cold for everyone else. So, but it is colder. So I think it's not, it goes back to really not even really getting to that point of comparing, like what is affecting me versus what is affecting you. Like, I understand the question, but I think the reason why maybe I'm not able to put it in words is there's no need to have words for that, because there's really no comparison. So it's about looking at yourself and saying, is this good for me? Whether it's good for that person or not. So, or maybe I just can't answer the question. I don't know.
No, I think you answered it quite well. Yeah.
I think it was Tesla who said, if we think of everything we see in energy and vibration, it will change how we interact in our daily lives. And it seems like what you're talking about is seen as we are as this energy system, this vibrational system, and what we eat, what we drink, what we look at, what we share, who we interact with affects the energy that we're around and affects our environment.
Yes, it affects our environment and our experiences. The people that are going to come into your life, the experiences, the opportunities are all based on your vibrational frequency. So if you believe and you are in this mode, in this zone of not having what you want, you're not going to be presented with those opportunities. It really is a mindset. It's not mind over matter. It's mind, period. Everything is mind. There's actually no hardware. It's actually all software. I know I use the computer terminology, but just to explain it, but it's all software. We're characters in a software program, programming our own version of our Minecraft reality and upgrading our own character. We have our own, but the thing is, there's one. The whole thing is just you. So I get goosebumps when I talk about this. There's everything that you see and experience is you. So do you remember the Matrix where Neo sees everything just become green and everything's just energy, right? So our physical body is separate. We are divided between things, but we think about it, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. So I'm a sound wave and you're a sound wave. Well, where does my sound wave end? There is no end. I'm a sound wave. You're a sound wave. We are one, again, universe. So this universe that I am existing in right now, that I'm experiencing, is my sound wave. It's my surround sound. This whole thing. You are reflecting the things that I actually wanted to ask myself. I'm going to have to watch this over right away, because the things I said earlier, I've never said before. I've never explained it in that manner. And I was thinking, wow, oh my gosh. So it's about, going through these experiences and just putting yourself in that mindset. This is what I want to see. This is where I'm going to be. And you are going to receive it. It takes a little bit of practice to change your mind, to believe it, to trust, faith, hope, all that stuff. It's all different levels. There's a level of the law of attraction, attract this to you. Well, then there's the law of assumption. I'm going to assume that it's going to happen. But see, I'm beyond assumption. I am at the law of expectation. I'll do it, and I'll keep going to the next thing because I already expect that it's going to. So but again, it's all the same thing. It's the same thing. It's putting your vibration out there to receive what it is you want, put out what you want to get, but it's just different levels of that belief.
Is there a law of knowing as well? So it's going to happen, you've put it out there and it's going to be. And because of this it's not a belief, it's beyond belief, it.
Yes.
Thus you're creating it.
Yes.
Outside of time, it's here.
Yes, and that's the law of expectation. Do something knowing it's already done in this other world. You've got to do the act to prove to the universe. You've got to direct the energy so that the universe feeds that, fuels that vision, and then go do your next thing. Everything will continue. That gas pump doesn't stop. Once you plug in and you say, okay, here's a good example. I have a book called Activate Your Pineal Gland. And I said, well, this was 4 years ago. I said, all right, I'm going to have a book. Well, I had a library behind me of all the books I want, of the authors I looked up to. So I printed out a cover with my face and my title written by Bianca Ruehlig, folded this empty book cover and put it on my shelf. It was a book. It was a fake book on a real shelf, right? But every time I look at it, I was like, wow, I was in between Dr. Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden and Dr. Joe. And I'm like, oh, and there's Bianca Ruehlig. So I kept doing that. 3 days. It takes 3 days to manifest. Okay. 3 days, I get an email from a publisher saying, and this was random, not random, please write a book so that we can pay you to publish it. And how did that happen? I mean, it could have happened 6 months ago. It could have happened, 3 months ago. It happened 3 days after I put it out there, put it on the shelf. And I said, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to have a book on the shelf. Do you know that I have that book on the shelf? The actual physical book. Oh, goosebumps. It's happened. And that was not the first. I mean, even this meeting here, this audience, all of this, the place I'm living in, everything was manifested in my mind. And it's practice, it's belief, and you've got to do good. You got to be a good person. All right. That's the thing. You've got to continue to help yourself and help others along the way. But remember, I started with help myself. You've got to help yourself first. But yeah, everything is possible.
And speaking of helping yourself, can you go into a little bit of what got you into the work that you're doing? You talked a little bit about your own inner work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I worked corporate. I was an IT manager for a manufacturing company, and I started having panic attacks. So I was basically in charge of a huge operation. And only, usually in my department, IT, I'm usually the only female. In fact, one of my first jobs was managing an IT department of 16 men. And, and I am not a college graduate. So it's experience, it's just the way that I've done my work, et cetera. So the thing is, it's about putting yourself out there and allowing these things to happen. So one of the things that I believe in, it's like, again, this example here, all of the things that you're speaking of are all of the things that I spoke of. And so back when I was in corporate, working a normal life, 50 hours a week, and then right afterwards, having 4 hours of drinks and then going to sleep, watching TV. So that caught on to my physical body, anxiety. I had a panic disorder. I actually had to wear these armbands for 6 years because I was a programmer. So I had to sit like this, right? Long story short, I started going to the doctor and they started trying to give me pills. I physically cannot swallow pills. I think that was because I just know innately that my spirit didn't want it. My physical body could not get it past. And so someone, I can't even recall, someone said, try meditation, try these crystals. And so I went on Craigslist, bought a bowl, a large singing bowl, used bowl. And I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I was literally at my wit's end. I had a panic disorder for 4 years. Every night for maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, I would drive myself to the urgent care saying I was dying. And I started recording myself. And I'm laughing now because I knew that it wasn't happening. I knew in my head at the time that it wasn't happening, but I still had to do it. So I had to heal myself. And when I got to that point, I got this bowl. I said, all right, this is what's going to happen. I put on the headphones. And 2 hours later, I experienced what I call heaven. 7 seconds of pure bliss, zero. There was just nothing there but light. And I wasn't in light. I was the light. And 7 seconds, that's all it was. I still remember this purity. that was it. I got out of it. No panic attacks ever since that night. I've had no pains in my body. I'm actually, that was 11 years ago. I'm going to be 45. I feel like I'm getting younger as I experience, and that's what changed my life. So when that happened, I said, wait a minute, if I can prevent a panic attack with my mind, what else can I do? So, 5-6 years later, I eventually took out my 401k actually and started my store. So I have a store in the Bay Area. It's a crystal shop, but that's, I guess, my little, my playhouse. The real, bread and butter in there is the sound therapy, the energy, like the meditation. We have yoga and Tai Chi classes. We teach people all these things that I'm talking about. Or we just teach them to sit down and look at a candle for 5 minutes and just pause, or hold a rock. Or you know what, if you don't want to hold a rock, hold your pen and write something down. So it's about, it's this space that I've created for myself because I went through my panic. And that's all gone. I mean, like I said, it's almost like a totally different lifestyle. I couldn't even describe to you a panic attack because I don't understand what that is anymore. Whereas, sometimes you say, well, you can't understand a panic attack until you've had one. I've had them, but I can't even explain it because I'm no longer in that vibration. I don't receive that. You're like, if you're an Android, or if you're, let's go with, if you're a Windows 95 and you're upgrading to Windows 2000 or even NT, it's totally different. They don't understand. You've got to change. You've got to align. And that's what's happened. So, and it happens all the time. Every time you wake up, you're in a different reality, So it's about being intentional with that reality. When I went into that meditation, I said, I am healed. And lo and behold, like literally abracadabra, that's what happened. And I just share and I teach, and everyone can do this. And there's actually more. I feel like I'm at like level 2, maybe. There's so many more levels, and it's exciting, and it's the best thing I've done. One of the best things I've done is to just keep, digging into my mind and learning about myself.
Well, you said something that is actually something I've been thinking about. That as far as how I understood it, that if you change the software, or let's say you upgrade the software, then you also need to change the actions with intention. The certain things, like, let's say if you have certain core beliefs of, I don't know, nothing ever works out for me, or, I'm a failure. If you do if I work with you, and I did some of the healing processes to rewrite those core beliefs, change the cells, do whatever the work is that we do, but then I don't take action. I don't, whatever the action is, write a book or do this. I don't take those steps. So does those two things, or does changing, rewriting the core beliefs, does that enable the person to, I don't know, like launch them into action? Or is that just something that you have to choose and do? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what we call free will. That's what we call free will. That's our power. And everyone has it. My free will, do I drink my water or do I drink my coffee? I know which one's better, right? I know which one I should do. So we all have this different core belief. You're talking about that operating system. You're actually talking about beneath the operating. You're talking about the DOS programming. And we've got to start the process. You start the process by writing the code. You write the code in your mind, but then what do you do to execute? You click play, or you click run, or you click execute, or you click something to start it. right? So yeah, you can write all the code you want, but it's got to actually run. And that run is this solar plexus action. You've got to do it. There's a lot of things a lot of people want to do, and they can actually accomplish it, almost all of it. But you've got to start taking action. I think they said it was like if you spent 17 minutes doing one thing, you will be an expert at that over a year, above everyone else. So let's say I played the flute for 17 minutes a day, that I will be 95% an expert over everyone else. It's amazing. It's willpower. We have the power of choice, how we spend our energy. So when you wake up, you go, okay, here's my wallet of energy. I've got 100 points. What am I going to do with this 100 points? I'm going to take one. I'm going to read this book because I know this is, so it's all those. It's really being mindful of how you're choosing, how you're spending your energy. And sometimes it's okay to not spend that. And sometimes it's okay to just not do anything at all. And because I believe that that's part of experience. You experience things to have the other experience. You can't really experience pure joy when you're not experiencing sadness and that depression. So it's almost like it's hard to see one without the other, but it's also being able to see them both and saying, well, there's one and there's the other. They work well together. It's just that sound, it's being able to pull yourself back, not taking anything personally. You're part of the program, but you're actually the creator of the program. So you're the character, right? You're coding the character, but there's still someone coding the character, but it's just here. And that's your passion. That's your desire. And that's your action that's doing it.
So what could be some of the things that, I don't know if a block is the right word, but would stop the person from taking that action? Is it lack of, I mean, does want, could it be that they at the core really don't want, there's not enough desire to do what it is that they say that they want to do, but maybe truly, I'm just wondering what blocks people from taking that step.
There's a block for desire. I think desire is an energy that is just existing. I think what blocks people is their thoughts that they can't achieve it. So desire is an energy. It's a feeling. Your thoughts are not. Your thoughts are, you're creating it. This feeling is being emitted. They say the heart has its own neural network. It's got its own brain. We can't tell our stomach, hey, you're full now, right? You got to actually put something in there. And then it says to your brain, hey, I'm full. So our gut and our heart are also thinking just as much as our brain is. So our brain is, think of this as the planner. It's writing. I'm planning it, but you've got to actually decide something has to happen. And I guess it is, as far as what blocks it, it could be that belief. It could be maybe not having the ability to do something. Financially, for example, let's say someone wants to start a business. Actually, I'll use myself as an example. I wanted to stop drinking. And I've been wanting to stop drinking for many years. Now, what was blocking me? Now, I could have just stopped going. I can just stop buying. I can just stop lifting. I could have done all that all these years. But what made me decide to not do it? Something inside me said, you know what? It's almost like I listened to my spirit and I said, I think it's time. So in fact, 5 days ago now, I decided to just stop eating meat. Nothing pushed me to it. I don't physically, it's nothing even health related, but I just feel like, you know what? I think I'm done with that. So we get to that point. We've got to, I think the key is to be by yourself. So you can hear yourself, tell yourself that. And when you're watching TV and you're listening to other people or spending a lot of time in other people's thoughts and experiences, you don't know what you want. You don't know your true self. You're too busy with the news or the whatever, the weather, a half a world away. that you can't even do anything about. I get it. We can care and be compassionate, but where's your energy going to be? What can you make a difference on and make an effect? And that's yourself. You can become a better person, a healthier person in your mind. You make better decisions. You promote better things. Maybe you'll start something that'll help a group of people. So it's really about, it's something that happens to you. It's something that nothing can make you go through. No one's going to actually trigger or promote it other than yourself, because we all know the good and the bad, but we just choose not to. So I think it's just a matter of, something's going to click with everyone. It's going to be different. And, but you won't hear that click if it's too loud. You don't hear that in your head if it's loud everywhere else.
That's a really good point. And going back to environment and how environment can affect us in some way. Like you talk about the distractions, and there's filled in this technology, all the technology and iPhones and everything that we can go to distract ourselves, so we don't hear our thoughts. We don't even recognize the thoughts that are saying, well, I can't do it. Those subtle, I think you said low vibrate, like thoughts can be low vibrational as well. So it's never going to work out. And if it's not heard and it's not at the surface, then how can you even replace it with a high vibrational thought? Yeah.
You cannot fix something or change something if you're not aware of that root of what it is, because everything else that you're hearing is like on top. You're hearing someone else's problem, someone else's experiences or feelings, and then it's, where's yours? And when you get to that, then you're tired. It's time to go to bed and wake up the next day and do this. So where are you? Where are you in this whole thing? It's about everybody else right now. So the universe, there's no one else but you. That the reality is everyone is a reflection of yourself, of the things you like and the things you don't like. And that's what we see. And sometimes you see it right away. You can really test this yourself. Tell yourself today, I'm going to see a blue feather. Visualize that blue feather. Doesn't have to be, in a particular place. Just tell yourself, I'm going to see a blue feather. And now we let it go. You're going to see a blue feather today. It's just, that's how you've got to believe that. I just got goosebumps. I know I'm going to see one too. But, and I've tested this, but you've got to test it. You've got to try it. You've got to, all these things you've got to do yourself. No one can ever prove a dream to you. You're never going to be able to prove a dream to anyone else, but it was true. It was 100% real. It existed in your mind. You felt it. You even maybe just smelled it, So dreams are so real, but they don't exist. So it's about really going into your own dream here and, diving into yourself. Your show's about behind the curtain. The curtains are eyelids. That's what it is. It's behind these curtains.
Yeah. I guess from what I'm hearing is you have to start somewhere. You have to experiment and going within yourself, and rather than always relying on something external, to fix us or to save the day. I mean, we're all becoming more and more aware of how our government's not really the answer to our problems as a society, and that can be, I mean, speaking personally, a little bit scary. If going in and trusting when a person has kind of made some of the same mistakes or failures or has let themselves down over and over, then it's like, oh well, that is not going to work out, or but from what I'm hearing from you is you have to start somewhere, and
it is a mind change. It's your example of you let yourself down. Who cares besides you? Who really cares if you let yourself down, if you're the only one that was put down? It's still back to you. It's really about and when I say this sometimes when I'm doing my sessions, it's hard to say, but I say, well, you're holding yourself back. But there's a reason. There's so many reasons, but it's us. We have total power and control. There's certain things, of course, that some people, maybe they have a vision that's too big. I don't like the chemtrails, but I can't stop what the planes are doing. But what I can certainly do is promote immune health, teach people how to breathe, how to meditate, how to ground themselves. So what you take your experience and say, how can I make it better? How can I use it to my advantage? But it's got to be that click. You must take responsibility yourself for yourself. And, even the people we follow, the people, the timelines or the channels we watch, that's our choice. And what you're feeding yourself, that's how you feel. That's how you live and experience. So back to, what's this finger doing? Who am I scrolling to? So it's personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Ali and I recently started increasing the amount of water that we're drinking. And I found out after a while that it wasn't just the water, it's the quality of water and the minerals in the water as well. Mm-hmm. That is as important as the water you're drinking. And also, I love the work of Dr. Inamoto. I know you've written about him as well. Could you speak about the power of our words on water and the work of Dr. Inamoto as well, please?
Mm-hmm. So water is what we're made of, right? They say it's 77% water, which is false. We're 77% water weight. Every cell in our body, every molecule is made of water, 99% water. The rest is that energy holding it together, because water doesn't actually exist. If you really think about it, water is the relationship between hydrogen and oxygen. When you put heat, that relationship's gone. Or when you put cold, that relationship is different. There's no water. There's no water left. There's either ice or gas, right? So water isn't even a thing. So we are made of this 100% of nothing. It's just a relationship. We're a relationship of energy. So here's an example, right? The plastic that it's in, the water has been sitting in a bottle on a shelf for how long? We don't know. And if we're thinking about water being alive and life-giving, well, you put anything stagnant, then there's no life. So what Dr. Emoto has tested is it's called Kirlian photography. He did 2 different tests. Kirlian photography can test the aura, the energy state of cells and water and things like that. And then there's the water molecules, the structured water that he was testing. And the way he would run his test is he would take, let's say, 2 glasses of water. One would have a note on it. Okay, you didn't even speak to the water. You would just put a note that says love and a note that says hate. Now, speaking to the water, it did the same thing. But what he was trying to prove is that you don't even need to speak it out loud. Your thoughts, your feeling about that word changes the structure and either makes it into a pretty snowflake or makes it into this like crappy looking sewer water. Mm-hmm. So our thoughts, our feelings changes the water. He's proven that, and the structure holds. Now, back to what are we made of again? So are we snowflakes or are we this chaotic, unstructured water? So when you listen to, we go with the flow of what we hear, right? So if you go to a heavy metal concert, more than likely, you're not going to be dancing like this, right? You're going to be maybe rocking your head, just moving faster. Well, every single one of your cells are doing the same thing. So everything is harmonizing with the sounds around it. So what Dr. Emoto did was he froze them and took photos, under, it's called dark light microscope, which is, you can be able to see this clearly. And he could see that they were holding that structure. We can actually see it. I've got frozen crystal water in my fridge right now, in my freezer. And I'm actually getting a microscope very similar. I'm going to be doing the same test that he's doing, plus adding onto that the vibrations, the different elements that we have now. I mean, there's a lot of experiments on my list. Cleaning the water. We all have heard of these derailments. what happens to that water? So tap water that gets chemicals in them, there's a way to clean it. There's a way to clean it with the sounds, with magnets, with different chemicals. And Dr. Emoto has proven that water holds a structure. So the takeaway with that is that you don't even need to speak it. It's your energy changes the water. Your vibration changes that, and it affects you. So before I drink, you bless your water. Thank you. I love you. I am healthy. Now this water is vibrating to that. And water has memory. It's changing its structure. I love this water. This water loves me back. And when I drink it, when I drink, I hold my water up here and I look up and I align myself and I say, thank you for this life, because I know that that water is changing. And then when I drink it, I'm done. It's that law of expectation. I already know. And I think there's something called the quantum water experiment, where you put, two different realities and you test the quantum jumping. But the way that works is, it's just everything is water. You're breathing in a type of water right now, right? It's everything is listening and reflecting what you're doing and expressing. So he was able to show that and prove it. And everything is about structured water, and you can structure it with your words, your thoughts. Of course, it's better. Like, I have started eating a lot more fruits, because fruits are solar structure water. Your body doesn't need to digest a lot of food. In fact, your stomach, I think, only digests protein. So digestion starts in your saliva. Yesterday I showed a mango on my live stream and I said, who's salivating? People were salivating. So I was starting their metabolism, their digestive process by sight. And I started salad. Now, as soon as you put that in your mouth, they say, drink your food, because you're supposed to chew your food to the point of drinking it. Your mouth is actually ingesting that directly into your bloodstream under your tongue or hair, which is where we put, medicines and things like that. So water is, we know it's essential, but there's definitely a lot of, things that people don't realize, 8 to 10 glasses of water. I drink maybe 4, but that's 4 glasses of structured water. I call it holy water. I've prayed to that water. I've meditated to it. It's been out in the sun, and I eat fruits, which has water. So, and I also do not engage in things that make that dehydrate my body, the alcohol or other foods, meats, things like that. I haven't had seafood in probably 8 years now. So it's really about the things you do. It's keeping your body alkaline, and alkalinity is about, not just being, waterlogged. Water becomes cellulite eventually if you have too much of it. We're storing water. We're not bears hibernating. We don't need to store all this in us. We just need what we need, right? And, we actually eventually don't even need this, because our body creates water. Our body burns off and creates the particles that make up water. But it's called, dry fast, or it's basically a step beyond vegetarian, vegan. You've got frugivore. Frugivore is fruits, nuts, and seeds. Then you've got breatharian, which is breath and grounding and sun gazing. And then there's dry fasting, which is just nothing. So, those are the things I'm experiencing and practicing and testing out. I'm not labeling myself any one way, but what I do know is water is not just life. Water is alive. It's literally sentient. It knows what you're thinking. That plant behind you knows if you're going to be nice to it, or if you're going to go up to it and pull a leaf. It can actually warn the other plants. They've tested this. It's amazing how much of it they're transmitting it in the water, in the air. We just don't see it.
I read this book many years ago called The Secret Life of Plants. And this book was talking about how the plants knew a liar, or someone who was going to hurt it, seconds before it happened. This book blew my mind. Incredible book, yeah. And they were using it in regards to the tests could they use plants as lie detectors?
Wow, I didn't realize they were using the plants as lie detectors. That's absolutely true. It will actually begin to secrete and change its structure. If it knows, if you're outside the room and you start thinking, I am going to hurt this plant, And you start thinking that they have heard the plant yell through an app called Plant Wave. I mean, and then there's going to be people like, oh, you can't eat plants because they're yelling. But there's different levels. Again, everything is energy. So how are you taking that energy? You take everything that's presented to you and make it better. You bless your water, you bless your food, you bless yourself. But yeah, a plant, I mean, again, I'm learning as I go. Every single day I'm uncovering something new. And it's not even new, it's old stuff, but it's relearning.
I love the way you're speaking, because now we have this sense of magic and mystery and extraordinary vibrancy to life and everything that we're doing. This water I'm holding, my thoughts can change the structure of this water in my body. I can cure myself through illnesses and things that are going on. And even then, the connection and again as well with the outside world changes, with trees, with animals, with plants, with other human beings.
Exactly. And it's actually such a beautiful thing to realize. Once you've gotten to that point, you realize, like, I can't stand on grass anymore because I see them moving. I almost feel like I hear them talking. Everything is living, and everything is responsive to you. And it can be just as beautiful as you wish, Imagination. What's that image in the back of your mind? What are you seeing? And it's not seeing is believing. It's believing is seeing. Believe it to the point you're going to see it. You're going to see a blue feather today too. We're all going to see blue feathers.
Can you talk about the power then of earthing? I know of walking barefoot on the ground and the connection with energy and the soil, because lots of us will spend our entire lives on rubber, not touch the floor at all. Can you talk about the connection with earthing and healing ourselves just through walking on the ground, and energetically what's happening?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're just a few steps higher than plants, right? We are walking, talking plants, but we're the same thing. We ingest energy, we experience, and then we expel something else. So when you are so first off, the palms of our hands and the soles of our feet are a little bit lighter because the pores are actually bigger. They allow more of this energy. Now, the air is electric and our earth is a magnet. It's a giant magnet. And so when you put this rubber sole between you and this ground, you're not grounded. Think of yourself, that third cord, you got the two prong. So when you and you don't even have to walk, you can just stand there. Just stand there barefoot on dirt. Now, wet dirt's a little bit better. In fact, nighttime is even better. I'm just learning this now. I'm reading a book called Earthing. Basically, it's saying that when they invented shoes, they also invented the rise of arthritis and all these other diseases and ailments increased with the rise of shoes. And think about high heels. Oh my gosh. High heels, not only are you cramping, like you're basically what's that word? You're freezing your calves. Your calves are our second heart. Okay. Your heart pumps up here, right? But then you've got all this stuff down here that needs to come up. That's our calves. We don't even walk anymore. So when you're in high heels, not only are you separated from the ground, you're not pumping your blood back up. And a practice I do is I actually earth on, just maybe 5-10 minutes while I'm sun gazing. I practice sun gazing, staring at the sun directly. There's very safe ways to do it. You want to start a little bit slow, but earthing is the best thing for someone's health, for immune system, for you. If you are feeling sick, if you are feeling tired, if you are just feeling bad, go and stand on dirt. The Vitruvian man, okay? It's two different positions, right? It's a little bit tricky. But if you stand with your legs closed, so it's the first position was standing with your legs closed, arms up almost in a V and back, very similar to what you would see on a cross. So it's actually an antenna pose. And when you do that, when your arms are up and back, you're expanding your solar plexus, your heart, your lungs. Your lungs is your spirit. Inspiration is receiving spirit, right? Because expiration is expired. There's no breath. So you open this up, you receive inspiration, you're opening up your solar plexus, which is your energy center, your vital life force. Think of this as like the main plug to your Wi-Fi, or not Wi-Fi, but to your source, your energy, your charge. And a lot of people are sitting like this, or sitting like this, or, on their phones. And that's just how culture has made it. I spent a lot of years sitting in front of a computer like this. Now every 20, 30 minutes, I make sure I stand up, stretch, move my body around. What happens to a plant when it starts dying? It becomes brittle, and then it breaks because there's no water, there's no flow. So, and that's where, Tai Chi and yoga come in. But it's all of this. It's about, again, it's back to practice. We learn, and then we've got to take action and do the things. So people have time to spend 5 minutes and stand on dirt. Don't tell me you don't have 5 minutes to stand on dirt. Okay, if you don't have time to meditate, that's fine. Stand on dirt. Put your phone down. That's the other thing. Put your phone down and stand on dirt. It's very easy. We just have to do it. It's back to willpower. I haven't been earthing for a couple weeks, and I haven't gotten on my trampoline in 2 months. So I haven't been practicing the things I've been preaching that I know are good. So it's back to, gotta get on it. What is my priority? Am I going to sit and watch Game of Thrones today? Because I'm going to. That's right. I've been thinking a lot of the stuff I talk about with Tartaria and in castles, and the Wall of China not being a wall, being potentially a rack. Like, think of a chain on a bicycle. Think of a chain on a bicycle, and then look at the entire Wall of China. But see, this is like, woo, you could go, we could go at all sorts of different, but that's back to, what were they doing? Yeah. They were producing structured water. Those giant water wheels is to structure water. That labyrinth that everybody sees is a water pipe, because when you move water in 90 degrees like that, you're putting life back in it, back to this water. We are putting life back in it when you move the water around. So waterfalls, those 3-tiered water fountains, that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get one of those. Or I'm just actually going to go to the most of the downtown places, they still have those living water, 3-tiered fountains. I wonder where that water's coming from. I believe there's still, I'm going to call it primary water that just never ends, never ending water. We have it, and it's hidden, and it's right under our feet. And I'm going to start showing videos, sharing my search for that. But, it's all about this experience. Why am I here? Well, I know I'm here to share Cyatones. I need to help. I need to help people because I know that they can do it, because I've done it. But then I continue to explore, water, or, grounding. I'm actually grounding directly in fertilizer, because every zodiac, I'm learning, has something called a zodiac salt, salts of salvation. As in Aries, it's potassium, I can't remember, sulfate or something. So what I did was I bought a bag of it. I'm going to, instead of grounding in dirt, I'm going to ground in my fertilizer. I'm going to ground in my zodiac salt, and potentially bypass even the need to eat. Because when we eat, our stomach burns everything to get to that salt. And then when it gets to that salt, that's the fuel for the spleen and all that. But all that other food, it's just kind of in the way. So that's why it's called processed food, I think. Oh, I just made that one up. Processed food. It's not because it's processed to create it. We have this huge process to break it down. It's not even food, really. We're breaking it down to what? So
can you talk a little bit about your book, Activating the Pineal Gland?
Yes. So that's a story of my journey. I created a group on Facebook, actually, many years ago, because I had all these questions. And what I've done is, after I accumulated answers, it was actually me answering myself in my own group. I then put that all in my book. It's a very easy read. I'm not saying it's dumbing it down, but I had to write it in a way that people can read it and not be like woo-woo scientific words. I need to Google this word because I don't know what part of the body that is, things like that. I needed something that was normalized, that I can read, and understand easily. and explain it to someone. And it doesn't go too deep, but it's deep enough that you're going to catch something and you're going to go, whoa, I need to look into this. Or, whoa, I need to, I'm really interested in magnets. I'm going to learn about that. So it's a little bit of all the stuff I've gotten into: magnets, structured water, frequencies, binaural beats, all of these things. And it shares a lot of meditation techniques, but really it's the 3 S's: stillness, silence, and solitude. Go in a dark room by yourself and stay still, and do that as often as you can. That's it. And you're going to find yourself there somewhere.
I've read there's a practice coming up, a practice that someone did, I saw, I think it may be on Facebook or somewhere. He locked himself in a dark room, no books, nothing, just the darkness for 4 days. Mm-hmm. Just to stay with himself. And he discovered more or learned more about himself than he did at any other time.
Yes.
He had no outside interferences at all.
I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this and live stream it. So I have a sensory deprivation tank, and I've taken the water out. So if it's a sensory deprivation tank, you go in there, there's like 10 inches of salt water, and you float, and there's nothing, no light, no sound, nothing. What I've done is I've taken the water out, and I have speakers installed in the base. So when I get in there, think of it as a vibration. I'm going inside a speaker, listening to my frequencies. But the other thing about that space is it's no light, no sound, no nothing, right? And I can breathe. So I've been going in there to experience the sounds in there, but I've been thinking of doing that actually myself, is doing a 2 or 3 day, just zero interaction. There's something called the sacred secretion that comes up every month for the rest of your life, basically, since you've been 12 years old. And there's a certain 3 days of the month where if you fast and you do all this dark room practice and things like that, you're basically going to take your land of milk and honey in your brain, drops this honey, and your job is to allow it to come back up. And to do that, it's a 2-3 day process. So I think I'm going to time mine along that. But yeah, I haven't seen who that was. I actually don't follow or spend too much time on following other people. I prefer reading, really. I think that people put more effort and energy into the words that they've written, and it allows me to visualize and really go off more. And I just love doing, reading books. But yeah, that's all these things we can experiment with. I mean, I'm going to be standing on fertilizer for a couple of days, so maybe I should put the fertilizer in my tank and just grow I don't know. It's about, testing it.
Before I forget, what time is the best time at night to do the earthing? You said there was a particular time in the evening.
Well, the best time to do your sun gazing, the safest, is an hour after sunrise and an hour before sunset. So it makes sense to ground and sun gaze at the same time. In fact, palms open, face the sun, arms open like this, just like the Vitruvian Man. You're an antenna. And you just stand there, ground, receive the solar energy. You are think of yourself as doing a reset. And it's just, so whenever the sun is setting would be best.
So you said a hour after the sunrise would be the best?
Up to an hour after sunrise. And then an hour before the sun sets is when you are safe to practice sun gazing.
Okay. And for sun gazing, do you keep your eyes closed or do you, because I've done it. Well, I guess it wasn't sun gazing, where I would look up at the sun, but keep the eyes closed and feel the sun on the forehead. And I don't know if that's similar sort of thing or.
Yeah, absolutely. Your eyelids are not very thick, really, if you think about it. Yeah. So and that feels great, right? It's like, why do we? It's like you can actually fuel yourself. You can give yourself life force energies just by doing that.
Yeah.
And so you can start with your eyes closed. I do it with my eyes open, but I started, again, very slowly building yourself up to longer periods of time. I'll go for up to an hour, And sometimes it's not within that hour range, but I really should stay. You don't want to sun gaze at 9 a.m. or 11 noon. But it's amazing. We are our clock is moving with the sun and the moon. We have a cycle with the sun and the moon. So I think that those times are probably the best for doing that. But yeah, definitely practice. And how many times did you do it? If you do it once, twice, is that really, that's maybe like trying, but a practice, you got to actually continue to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't, when I did it, it wasn't planned. It was just, I happened to be outside and I turned and I noticed the sun is there.
And you just, naturally you did it.
Yeah. It just felt good. I naturally did it. And it does feel, the energizing, and it feels great. I mean, energizing, not like when you drink a cup of coffee, but you feel the sort of, I guess the one way to explain it, like the cells in your body just coming alive, like just the tingling and everything, just like waking up and like starting up a car and everything just revs you. So so it's it's a good reminder to do that, and just being out in nature. Do you go out to nature often, or?
I'm actually more a homebody. I'm lucky that I was able to get a place that has a space in the back that's my own. I don't really have to leave. I'm actually going to build a little retreat here. I just need a couple yurts. I'm going to start bringing people to my space, and I'm building a sound garden. I imagine a labyrinth, a cathedral, a wishing well, which is the stream of water. All of this here in my backyard. So I'm going to I just go right out back, and there's my garden of even is what I'm calling it. The land of balance. So, and I hope that and I do see it as a place where people can come and just be there for, maybe a weekend, maybe a week, and just be in nature, because it is hard to find that space, Airbnb is not going to cut it. I don't want to go to a hotel. I don't want to go to a swimming pool.
Yeah.
It's just, being in this space just of kind of what you're saying, just alive.
What are your thoughts on plant medicine to assist in the healing process and the rewriting some of those core beliefs?
I think that plant medicine would be, because I've never really experienced much of it. I have tried microdosing, but it's not something I regularly do. And I'm actually not against it. I'm actually very much for it. But at my level right now, I feel that if I did that, I might go off on too many tangents. I feel like my level, I'm getting direct source that is almost, I feel like it's pure. And it's not, again, nothing against DMT or psilocybin, which are very accessible. But I don't know, maybe it's the Aries in me. I'm just a little scared. I'm a double Aries. So, which is why when I think of something, I run and do it before I think. It's constantly moving. This zodiac has such a huge effect on us. It's amazing. I didn't really know about too much of it. But it's something that I hope to experience in a safe space, probably in my space. It's just not like I said, I don't dive into it too much. I don't listen to other people's experience. I don't want to know their experience. Because that's going to feed into your own experience. If I happen to have some, and I'm going to, there was something I did try. And I think it's now illegal here. It was legal in smoke shops. It's called salvia. I would never, ever recommend anything like that to anyone. Because I think what other people have said is it's similar to a DMT trip, but like 5 and I can't even compare that because I don't know what that is. All I know is for my own experience was great. Other people's experiences were not. I met what I would call a spirit guide, or, I basically went into my dream. I saw someone come up to me and say, you're going to be a sorcerer, or you're going to, and put her arm around me. And I felt caressed and guided. And then it was it. Yeah. That's basically my experience. I've had not really experienced much of anything else. In fact, I wrote that in my book. I said, yes, there's all these different things, but I can't speak of it because I just have never tried it. I listen to Rogan, and I know that, a couple of the things that I could take and go in my float tank would be an insane experience. I'm not ready for it. I don't know if I really want that. So getting in the float tank by itself is already a major breakthrough. So I think maybe, I don't know, maybe a year from now it'll be different. So I don't know. Yeah.
And it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, I like that you say that you don't really listen to anyone else's, experience with these things as like, okay, well, this person had this great experience, so maybe I should do it, or, that you're investigate. It sounds like you're really in touch with yourself, and you have this connection that, there's just no need for it. Whereas someone else may need a little bit more of that assistance with the plant med, just to give them, another experience, or to open them up a little bit.
I think that the not following, I think, is more because I want to hear the facts. I want to know, what is it going to do to my brain? Like, what are the facts of the effects, right? But not necessarily the opinions, the feedback of their experience. Like, I actually want to know, like, what is going to happen, but I don't want to know how you felt. That's your feeling. That's your bias. All opinions are biased, especially mine. Mine are biased because of what I think, my past and my future fears. So everyone's opinion. So I guess it's not necessarily that I'm not listening to them because I don't want to experience it. I just don't want to really be swayed by opinions, because I know that opinions are swayed themselves by other people's opinions. So I think it's something that I am going to experience, but just not right now.
Yeah.
You see that when we truly understand, as a culture, society, all the energy around us, the vibration around us, we'll see that we have been controlled by these big corporations with the oil and so on, when around us is the energy to do all kinds of things, to lift, to create. And one of the things I was going to ask you, this is just a passion of mine, is ancient Kemet, is about the structure and sound of the pyramids and how they moved the stones, in your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I levitate sand with my speaker, right? We are already doing it. I have what's called a Chladni plate. Chladni is Dr. Ernst Chladni. He got this steel plate, threw a bunch of sand on it, and got a violin bow and started playing the steel plate. And then it started forming structures. That's why it's called a Chladni plate. So there's apps and stuff, and you can actually get one. So I went and got my own Chladni plate. It's a Bluetooth speaker. It's a Bluetooth speaker that I throw sand on it. And when I play sounds, guess what I'm doing? I'm levitating sand. Well, rocks is just big pieces of sand, right? Really think about it. So if you have a big enough speaker, let's say the Coliseum, let's say the amphitheater in the ground, imagine what you can lift with the sound. So pyramid, yes, it's actually, I'm kind of thinking different now on how pyramids were built versus levitation. I'm thinking more that they were petrified and that they were actually all mechanical, that they were mechanically built from the top down. You build the first structure with and I haven't shared this yet, I'm actually making a video, with like a screw, right? Now you build that top structure, and then what do? Some guy at the bottom, or 5 people at the bottom, move that thing and it goes up. Now you got space, build the next level. So now you've got this, which is why a lot of the structures that you see, it's like blocks, smaller blocks. It's like they build on top of each other. It's almost like they can come into one another, just like a pyramid can probably fall into itself. So what if we built it from the top and just kept raising it, which is why we don't have the top pieces, because that's the key, is literally a freaking key that you turn. And when you turn it, it raises and comes like a drawbridge. Which is why I'm watching Great Game of Thrones all over again, because the Game of Thrones is chess. Think about it. Chess is Game of Thrones, right? You're moving thrones around. Well, what do you think those chess pieces represent? Probably the electrical current from the pieces that they represent in the castle. So I'm connecting all these things. Like I haven't actually even shared this before with that pyramid idea. I'm going to build one in exactly that manner. And then so you raise it, you got another layer. So you're building it higher and higher, as large as it can go. And then what did they do? Well, to hide everything was petrified. Petrified mountains, petrified marble statues, petrified castles, and petrified pyramids. So just like castles, I think, are transformers. You know, they were used to create energy, electricity, do all these things, structure water. How they petrified it, Medusa, I don't know. Medusa was probably an electrical being. The snakes were probably electrical currents. But yeah, so it's just the pyramid, that whole thing is just, I love talking about it. We're brainstorming about it right now. It's like, what, you know, but you know, it's just theories until you can build it yourself. Yeah. But I do believe in levitation. I mean, that's how the Tibetan monks move those giant boulders. You have to go in a certain structure, in an arc. So think of a drum circle, right? It has to be a circle. If you have 5 resonant frequencies targeting one space, so you know, basically form a pentagram, and then you're beating the drum, you are causing a vibration. You're going to levitate the person in the middle. I mean, it sounds like it should work. I haven't tried that yet. I'm going to need 4 clones. But that's crazy enough for the experiments I do. We're not going to go into cloning right now, because we do all have stem cells, you know. I create stem cells every month still as a woman. So, but we're not going to go there. That'll be the next one. That'll be the next. But yeah, I do intend to test all of these things, the labyrinth as structuring water. I've actually got a couple devices I'm inventing. I'm inventing a shoe, calling it the shungite. The shoe with shungite. Shungite is an EMF shield. And if you ground it through, you're going to have a direct connection to the earth. So still being able to keep your foot, you know, encased, secure, protected, but still be connected. Or denim. Are you wearing a denim jacket? No.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm learning about the vibration of clothes. Linen and wool vibrate at 5,000 each, 5,000 megahertz. Cotton is at 100. Everything else, nothing. Deadens your vibration. Think of it as shielding you. It's like wearing shoes all over your body. So linen, but then learning about it, you know, linen and wool, when you wear it together, it negates it. It's back to zero. So it's just, I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent. There's so many things related to frequencies and energy and vibration. That's not just the sounds. That's the root of it is, well, actually it's not. The root of it is magnetism. Magnetism creates the electrical charge that sends that pulse to our brain that says, hey, this is what you're listening to. It's not really your eardrums. But notice how eardrums, everything's an organ, right? Your eardrums, your organs, everything's about music, the universe. I don't think it's a solar system. It's definitely a sonar system. It's a sound system. That's what we live in.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on coffee?
I think coffee by itself, just like, let's say, tobacco, if you were to roll your own tobacco, it's a plant. Everything, I mean, coffee bean is a plant, right? Yeah, it's got to be. But then what are we putting in it? What are we putting in it? Everything I drink and eat is blessed with so much gratitude and love that I am not worried. But as far as like physically, coffee is actually good for you at night to lucid dream. If you want to lucid dream, drink out of coffee, 5 minutes right before you're about to really get to sleep, and your brain will kickstart and you'll become lucid in your dream. So it's about, again, are you taking it because you are using it to fuel your day, or to sit around and gossip, or what is it that it's so many different things. It's how do you see it? How do you see your coffee? I actually had to recently finally just stop going to the store and make my own. But I definitely need to stop drinking coffee and drink more water. I'm not a tea drinker. I actually bathe with my tea. So when I take my Epsom salt bath, I know that nettle tea and eucalyptus tea and all this tea is good for you. I don't really enjoy the flavor. So I throw it in my bath, and my whole body's drinking the tea at that point. So I guess I do drink tea.
Yeah. I ask about the coffee because I drink. I love coffee. I don't drink a lot of it, but I do love it. I talk about it a lot. I like what you said, and you said it throughout, doing things with intention, and use the word gratitude, which is so more powerful. I'm realizing it more and more, of the power of reframing things, that when I catch the thoughts of, oh, this is bad, it just happened the other day, and I shared this with Ron too when it happened last week, around certain things that have come up for me in my life, where they would come up and they would trigger this, oh no, this is so negative, this is so bad. I look at the circumstance or the thing or the behavior or whatever as like it's the enemy. And yesterday this happened again, and something came up, some inspiration, or just the thought of, why don't I treat it with gratitude? And just that thought, I started looking, oh, thank you for this, and I started to see the reason why I did it, all the things I was getting from it, and it changed everything.
Your attitude changed.
Yeah.
Gratitude. It gives you a greater attitude when you have gratitude.
Yeah.
Words are so funny. They're just so much meaning beyond the meaning. But just when you think of gratitude, it is your attitude about what you're experiencing. So, being grateful, it's the levels we're at. You can be grateful for the green light. I say thank you to all the green lights before I hit them, because every light I hit is green. You've got to get that law of expectation. Be thankful for the things you love. You're going to get it back. You're going to get more of it.
So we're almost at 2 hours. So we should is there anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about that you wanted to discuss?
Oh, no. I mean, I was just open book. I mean, we probably go on for another 2 hours, talk about teleportation and satellites. I mean, we could go on about a lot of different things. It's about excitement though. It's like, follow your excitement. What I'm excited right now about, looking into the old nursery rhymes, and really, where did they're so strange if you really think about it. Or connecting to our old cartoons. Remember Thundercats?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thundercats.
Up, and he would go, sight beyond sight. That's the freaking third eye. That's about the third eye right then and there when I was 9 years old. And it's just, it's almost like reliving your life with a whole new set of eyeballs, right? And just and experiencing and following your excitement. And like I said, this is what I love this. I hope to. I'm expecting a few others that are like, oh wow, you do. They didn't realize that I was open to doing talk like this as often as I can. I mean, I enjoy it. Some things I've never said before, so I'm gonna have to rewatch it right away. I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great place to end on, following your excitement, because one of the things I got from our discussion is your enthusiasm is really inspiring, and your excitement for the things that you are doing, your experiments and the work that you do.
Thank you. I think that our excitement is our higher self. Like that's our higher self leading us to the next best thing. So think of it like a parrot, you know, you're excited for a reason. You're excited because your spirit is like wanting more of it. Well, what is your spirit? It's you. So yeah, following your excitement.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bianca. It's been a pleasure. I think we could chat because so many subjects I'm interested in that you talk about for hours and hours and hours. And you just mentioned one as well, teleportation, which I've been thinking about. So maybe that's for another time that we can get together. Yeah.
Yes.
So where can people find you, and where can they get your books, or also your store? Can you give us the name of your store as well? Again?
So I have a store. It's called Crystal Bowl, and I actually have 3 locations. We have a gift shop in downtown, a main crystal store, which we have my sound therapy. I do my in-person sound therapy free of charge. I don't charge for my sessions when people come in, especially when they're sick already. You know, that's the last I want to think about. I cannot afford this. So, and I also have, I live stream on TikTok. I'm just recently on Rumble. I've got a podcast called The Human Rays. It's HUE man rays, like RAYS. And I'll send you all this stuff, so maybe you can add it later. Yeah. But you know, and I've got Cyatones.com, which is where you can read up about the cymatics, how the frequencies work. I don't really have a place though where I have like all of this stuff. So I think I'm gonna need to do that. I've got a website, BiancaJill.com, which has nothing on it except for my Linktree. So you can actually direct people there. Yeah. You can go to BiancaJill.com, Linktree, that's where everything is.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people use nowadays. It's pretty, the Linktree is pretty good source.
It's easy to update, and exactly.
Yeah, so that's great. I'm gonna tell my sister, she's in that area, so maybe she can stop by the store at some point.
Yes, yeah, we have a Himalayan salt cave. We've got a Himalayan that we built over the closure, actually, and it's got 3 inches of salt on the floor. Everything is salt. And I go live from there. You can feel it through the camera. Yeah, it's really. I mean, if you can get hungry by looking at a mango, right? What else can we do visually? I mean, this might be a new thing too. So. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bianca. Please send me all the links, and I'll make sure we pull it when we post it. It's been a wonderful conversation. I'd love to go down this rabbit hole and to see where we end up. And I think there's so many other questions that we could have got into for hours and hours and hours.
I know.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very excited. I'm going to share this with my audience as well. So, yeah, I mean, and we can definitely catch up next time. Once we could probably teleport to each other's locations, we'll be good to go.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone.